G'day viewers and welcome back. This time we're going to paint, well, prime the bumper. Wait. Yeah, you'll get it in a minute. Basically, as I said, I'm going to be sanding and priming the bumper ready to go back on. I'm also first going to be trying to realign the bonnet because the lights just aren't sitting properly, and it sort of worries me a little bit, but not a lot. But that's what's happening. So if it looks like everything's filmed in reverse, well, it is. Keep watching. It all looks pretty good to me. Gap here's still not right, so I think that upper still needs to maybe come out a bit. I'll have a play with that, see what happens. Because yeah, that's sitting nice and flush with the hood bonnet, but this one's not. And that gap's way too close. So again, I'll have a play with that, see what happens. What I've been trying to do there is just adjust the headlights and the bumper. I mentioned last time about that bar that goes across the top of the radiator support, how I was going to fiddle around with that. Well, there's two bolts on it. Hold on a sec. So these two bolts here, this piece separates from the two wing pieces, and I undid these bolts and this whole thing just went pop and just popped out about 3mm, which is all I needed. And you can see, well, you can't see on the bolt, but there's a bit of paint around it, or paint missing around it, just over here. See, the paint's just off. That's because when I undid it, this whole piece just moved that way, which is exactly what I wanted. That lined up the front edge of the light with the bonnet. But now the problem I have you see the gap here? And all the way up around here, it's huge. But on this side, it's really tight. It's almost touching the bumper there. I can't even get a fingernail in there. But if you would look at the lines on there, compared to there, that's huge. That's actually sitting down there, so I've actually got to bring that up too. But in a nutshell, the bonnet needs to move that way, even if it's only a millimetre. And unfortunately, the way the hinges are, the nuts have like an insert on the back of the head, which locates into a hole. So there's not a lot of movement there, apart from, well, bending the hinges. But if that's what it's going to take, that's what it's going to take. I might be able to undo the hinges down where they bolt underneath, but that means moving, taking the guard off. I don't really want to get into that on this side. Yeah, I know that side's already been off, but that's it. 3 bolts, that one will fall off. This one, I don't know. I mean, this one still needs a bit of adjusting. It's out there, so I don't know. Once that comes in, that front gap, that rear gap, I should say, closes up. So yeah, I just got to play around with it. Just adjust the bonnet a bit, and get it back in the line. But the headlight now is in good line. Memory, actually, this one's out a little bit. So yeah, I just got to play around with the bonnet a little bit. As for the bar, well, I'm going to separate that and start sanding on that top section. Just in case you haven't watched the right YouTube videos, the reason for sanding is because paint won't stick to a shiny surface. You can see that's all pretty dull. But if we have a look here, there you go, you can see there and there, and there's a couple more up here. That's a different colour because it's still got a bit of a shine to it. Couple of rubs. See, it's changed colour. That's because it's no longer shiny. Another little bit right there. Okay. So that's pretty much all it needs. Now, I'm going to hit it up. You see again here. Just a little bit along there. It's still a bit shiny. There's a line through there. And that's all it takes. Just a quick scuff. So, I'm just going to finish touching those up. I'm going to get wax and grease remover and clean it all down. And I'm going to throw some prime on it. And looking at the sky, I think that's about all I'm going to have time for today. Which means I'll have to do that tomorrow. When you're using this stuff, obviously, it's always a good idea to get a fresh, clean rag. Otherwise, if there's anything on it, well, you're just going to be putting impurities back on there. Pointless exercise. Good rule of thumb is get the difficult to get areas first, because you are going to need to hang on to it, which is, if there's anything on your hands, it's going to put it straight back on. So do your difficult to reach areas, or difficult to clean areas first. It's alright, didn't hit the ground, hit your foot. All around the top, on the insert there, all around the bottom, around the side, around the edges and that. Anywhere that's going to be difficult to get into and or difficult to hang on to. Those areas first, and then you go over the main body, start from the top, work your way out. That way, no impurities. There we go. Alright, this being a plastic bumper, I'm going to start off with plastic and fiberglass primer. That is specifically designed to bond to the plastic. So basically anywhere I've rubbed through, and why did I rub through? Well, have a look at this here. There's a big gouge. That's called feathering. Basically you keep sanding until the centre of the mark disappears. Another one here. So there's a gouge through there. That's as far as I want it to go, because once I get some primer, a couple of layers of primer on there, you'll never know that existed. And it's on the bottom, so no one's going to see it. Alright, I'm going to hit it with this. Well, that threw me a little bit. I was expecting grey stuff to come out. It's clear. So, I guess for lack of a better description, it's probably more like an adhesion promoter, which it pretty much is anyway. I mean, that's what primer does, but this helps pretty much anything else stick to the plastic. So I'm going to give that about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to throw some primer filler at it. one coat. But I'm starting to lose light, so I'm going to have to call it. And as I said, I've got to get onto that. So when I do that, I'll just give this a scuff and give it a couple, another coat or two. You probably can't pick it up on the camera, but there are a couple of spots where that adhesion primer could have been heavier. Maybe I should have done another coat. It'll be alright. Alright, I'm calling it a night. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, it's the next day, about the same time. Oh, there's Casper just chilling. And apart from like that, it's a little crazed. I don't know what happened there, but obviously I'll have to do something about it. And there's a few spots that probably won't show up. I'm trying to get a good angle here so it'll show up. So just around here, it's a slightly different colour. That's because that's the raw plastic through the primer, and you can it actually feels different. Now there's only one coat of primer on it so far. Look, there's another patch there. Hang on. Go from the other side, see what happens. No, same thing, it's just not showing up. Light, maybe? No. Oh well, I tried. But yeah, there's a patch there. You can actually hear the difference. That's where I'd rub through and put that plastic primer on. And you get that. Easy way to get rid of that is just sand it with a light sandpaper. Now I originally sanded it, the major sanding, I did that with 120, which is why it's come up that right like that. But you're gonna get that. But now that I've got a coat of primer on there, I'll put another coat on, let that fully dry, and then when I go to paint it, I'll sand it, and it should sand smooth. A couple more coats of primer, it'll be right. But now I have to do that, which I'll do off camera because, well, you don't need to see me do exactly the same thing I just did on this. And I'll bring you back once I'm done that, and we'll put it all back together. Well, apparently there's more work in this than I thought, so I'm going to have to cut this one short here. Well, it's not exactly short, but you know what I mean. I'll get the next video up, finishing it off in the next couple of days. But thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button, add a like, comment, and I'll see you on the next one.